Cobra Kai never dies. So Cobra Kai has hit its 4th season, and it's still much of the same Cobra Kai that we know. Except for the fact that Johnny and Daniel have now teamed up to take down Kreese, the show still has all of the fighting, characters, and cheesiness of the first 3 seasons. And by cheesiness, I mean it in the best way possible. This show has captured something different that's really hard to describe. With corny dialogue and fight rumbles, it's just a show that I love to root for. So the fact that it's made it to its 4th season honestly makes me so happy. And I mean, the campiness of this show is great, but it's also strangely impactful, kind of like the old Karate Kid movies. But it's just amazing how they've managed to capture that level of campiness while still being a really intense show that gives some pretty great life lessons along the way. So season 4 starts off with a reveal of Kreese's new assistant sensei, Terry. Except we don't actually get to see his face just yet. It's just a slow dolly tilt up of him playing some really intense piano, giving him a really villainesque type of feeling. And he's probably the best addition to this show since Kreese. As Kreese's co-sensei, we begin to see that Terry is everything that Kreese isn't. He knows how to train his students in a way that they respond to, and we start to see Kreese's jealousy come through. Since Kreese has a massive ego, it was always obvious that these two were always going to butt heads. But the entire back and forth between Terry and Kreese was great. By contrast to Terry, Kreese doesn't really seem like as much of a bad guy, even though he's still an asshole. Compared to Terry, he really isn't like evil. So I love that they added a true villain to the show. And by making him rich, they allowed the show to have a bigger budget without losing its aesthetic. But the main storyline is something that we've been waiting to see. Johnny and Daniel's team up, which is what the entire season is pretty much based around. Should you strike first or should you play defense?
¿Por qué no los dos?
They both try each other's styles, and at first they start to see the value in small ways. But it was great seeing how similar these characters are by seeing how stubborn and set in their own fighting and philosophy ways they were. They each have their own interesting methods of teaching the students, and it was nice to see that their relationship wasn't just the same old story this time around. I actually like them being on the same side since they went through a lot of the same things, and it was nice to see them acknowledge and appreciate the other sensei's fighting styles. As far as characters go, there are a lot of different storylines this season. There's the introduction of a few new younger characters, I'm guessing to bring in more younger viewers to attract to the show, but I think the standouts were Tori and Hawk's storyline. Both of these characters had a ton of growth and definitely had the best side stories this season. While Tori's still dealing with struggling to care for herself without the help of parents, she also has to deal with Sam being a privileged jerk that just keeps on antagonizing her. So it was great seeing Tori's side of the whole story. And the same thing with Hawk. After almost winning a 1 versus 7 fight, something bad happens, I won't say what, but he loses all of his confidence. So his story arc of regaining that confidence with the help of his old friend Dimitri was definitely one of the better storylines this season. At first I wasn't really sure where they were going with the whole Kenny and Anthony storyline, but as the season went on, it was more and more obvious how his story fit into the overall plot. The show always plays with the idea of characters being more gray rather than just black or white. And I actually liked how this storyline allowed Robbie to get a chance to show us just how much he's matured by mentoring Kenny and ultimately seeing how it isn't so easy being a role model to someone. The only storyline I wasn't really a fan of was Sam and Miguel's. It really felt like their relationship was forced since it lacked the chemistry that it used to have. Sam just feels more and more like a bully and uses her past traumatic experiences as an excuse to continue her bullying. But like always, the heart of the show is karate. Just like last season, they keep upping the ante on the fight scenes. The choreography has really stepped up since season 1, and you can tell that the extra Netflix budget went into the fighting this season. Overall, I thought this season was more of the same Cobra Kai that we know. Even though they have a larger budget and new characters, the heart of Cobra Kai is still there with the cheesiness, over-the-top fight scenes, and life lessons. This season dives more into the idea that there's value on both sides, and that by taking those teachings and applying them into forging your own path is ultimately what you should be striving for. So on a scale of 1 to 100, I give season 4 of Cobra Kai a 77. Thanks for watching. Remember, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.